Okay, well, welcome. So we've got a little yin crew here in person this Thursday evening, and you might be watching on the catch up. So thank you so much for booking on to the class and joining and watching the replay and all that. So we've got 90 minutes, which feels really lovely and really indulgent. And I'm just going to welcome Francisca, who's just joined as well. So welcome, Francisca. It's really nice to have you here. Hi, so nice to see you. um, so you're welcome to have cameras on or cameras off. Okay, it's really entirely up to you. So just see how you feel. Okay. Um, and in terms of props, it's really whatever you can lay your hands on. What with it being yin and all. So if you have well, I got organized earlier. So I've got my bolster, I've got 2 blankets, 2 bricks, and 2 foam blocks. If you haven't got any of that stuff, a couple of pillows, a couple of blankets, or some bath towels. If you do have something that resembles a block, it's okay. If it's okay if you don't, I'm just looking at what we got planned. You'll be able to build it up with cushions. Okay. If so, I'll just give you a moment to gather in any bits. I'm just going to make sure my heater is still on because it's going to get really cold in here really quickly if it turns off. Yeah, we're all good. It's the thing about being at the bottom of the garden. The floor gets a little bit chilly. So I tend to have my blanket. I've got my yoga mat under this blanket. Excuse me. So if you're on a wooden floor like me, you might want to have put a blanket over your mat. But as I say, it's not essential. So what I thought we could start with, we're kind of okay. So we're rapidly moving to winter. In fact, some might say it is winter. It's feeling very cold, but I usually hang out until the 30th of November until I say it's winter. Um, but we are kind of in that sort of little transition phase where we're moving from the autumnal meridian lines towards the winter meridian lines. So we're kind of still hanging out with chest openers, side body work. Okay, so we're kind of helping to support the lung energy, which is really useful this time of year, of course, with coughs and colds and also the flu as well. This year has been pretty bad. I'm not saying this is going to save us from all these things, but it's something that can give us support. We'll tap into a little bit of kidney energy because that's also good when you're starting to feel a little bit burnt out. And as the days get shorter, then it's often I find that's when I start feeling a little bit burnt out. So that's where we're at, okay, to this evening. So what I was going to suggest before we do anything, let's move my Hebridean sheep a little bit. What I thought we could do is we could start with a little reclined posture over a bolster, okay? There's something really, really chilled. So whatever you've got that might represent a bolster, bring it onto your mat and we'll place it vertically along the mat. And then I always like a little something for the head, okay? So when you go back over, when you recline back over the bolster, you don't want the chin kind of going too high in the air, all right? So that's why I quite like a little something. I might actually just make that a bit chunky. One more thing, okay? If you want to extend the legs and put some cushions under the legs, okay, then go ahead and do that. What you could do is actually have the legs. Hang on, sorry, I'm going to come off this sheepskin because I'm kind of black on black and it's probably not so great for seeing what's going on. Okay. What you could do is you could take a blanket on something that's a bit like a long fold. Then if you have the shins crossed, you can place that blanket sort of underneath the calves. Okay, so the blanket rests on top of the feet. Okay, I'm going to turn and face you so you can see what I'm doing here. So here are my calves, there are my feet. Underneath the calves, And I can kind of tuck the ends in a little bit just to kind of help me feel a bit supported. Okay. That's the most technical description of doing this posture ever. And then we're going to recline back. So you might want to have a little bit of a gap between the sacrum and the bolster, or you might want to have the bolster right against your sacrum. Okay. And then as you go back over the bolster, just check in on how the lower back feels. And what we're aiming to do here is invite this openness across the chest. And it should feel really, really easy and light. It shouldn't feel stressful or anything. If you feel this pinching your lower back as you recline, I suggest coming onto the floor and lying on just flat on the floor, flat on your mat. So wherever you find yourself, you might feel comfortable closing your eyes. And you're very welcome to take a full in breath all the way in through the nose. And a very gentle sigh out through the mouth. So allowing yourself to be held by the props, allowing yourself to be held by the earth. And very gently, with a very, very light touch, gently begin to bring your attention into your breath. Softening the muscles in the face, softening around the jawbone, around the eye. And just giving yourself a scan through the whole of your body. Noticing how does your body feel right now? Scanning into the tissues. How is your physical realm? And then noticing the movement of your breath. How is your breath moving? Getting a little bit curious about the texture, the quality of the breath. And your breath is like an expression of your energy. How is your breath? Noticing how is your mind? How is your mind? Is it tired, heavy? Is it a little bit chatty, turning over the events of the day? Maybe it feels spacious. Just how is your mind? And then how is your mood? Meeting yourself just where you are. I'm going to take another minute here. I'm going to try and stay as quiet as possible, allowing yourself to come into your breath. If you feel you need some extra help with that, just let your hands rest on your belly. And you might notice the rise and fall of your belly. So taking a full in breath and a full out breath. So now as you slowly deepen the breath a little more, you might want to bring some gentle movements into your fingers, maybe a little bit of movement into your toes. If you'd like a stretch and that feels okay for you to do so, then feel free and just take a big stretch through the body. Just give yourself what you need. So to find your way to sitting, now I know that those of you who are here in person, like you're no strangers to doing this, okay? So whatever works for you, just so I don't feel negligent, I'm going to give you a cue. What I like to do is I like to shifting my hips a little bit over to the side. So in my case, I'm going to the left. And then roll onto the right side. But when I roll, I'm still held by my bolster, okay? You might be happier coming out a different way. Take a pause, just feeling that support under the rib cage if you're on your side. And then take your time, but we can begin to come up to sitting. So I'm going to press into my hand here and just gently, gently come up. Great. Okay, cool. So what we'll just take a tiny bit of movement before we come into the next posture. So let's find our way onto the hands and knees. And we can move any props. Let's see what's coming next. Yeah, we could just set the props up at the side. We'll take the spine through its different directions. So here we are, on the hands and knees. Give the wrist just a little circle out there before we do anything else. And let's just simply go 3 times to inhale, gently lift the chest. The exhale can gently round, so you're flexing the spine. Inhale, roll the heart forward. Exhale to gently round. Inhale, we roll the heart forward. It's like your breath instigates your movement as you round your back. Inhale to lift the heart. And then when you're ready, come on back to a neutral position with the spine. Let's take our hips all the way back towards the heels now. Feel free to circle out the wrists. And I've quite like taking my knees quite wide. Okay, so you can take the knees reasonably wide and then walking the hands forward, staying up on the pads of the fingers. And as you walk the hands forward, just a little bit of work through the side body. And you can allow your sitting bones to gently descend. Now let's gently walk the hands to the right side, okay? So patting the hands across. So the main thing here is to create some space in the left side body. So I'm going to just support myself here with my right hand. Left hand creeping over at that diagonal line. Lovely. And inviting a sense of heaviness into the left sitting bone. Great. Deep inhale. Smooth exhale. Softening around the face, around the jawbone. That's great. Let's change sides and start to walk the hands to the other side. Supporting now with the left hand. Walking that right hand over a diagonal line. Inviting the fullness of your inhale. Soft release on the exhale. Okay, when you're ready, let's come back to center. Come on back up to the hands and knees. And let's bring a block in here or a cushion. That can just go under where your head is going to go, okay? And we'll press into the, let's press into the left hand, open to the right. So we'll reach up to the sky with the right hand. So we'll create that little spiral here. But then we're going to move into threading the needle on the exhale. So gently thread that right arm through the left, turning the head, the torso to the left. That's an exhale. And let's keep going. So inhale, come out, reach up. Let's do that twice more. Exhale, weave it through. Inhale to come out, opening up. And exhale, weave it through. Inhale to open up, round to the right side. And then placing the right hand down. Second side. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, weaving it through. Twice more. Great, everyone. Okay, last time we open out. Inhale, unfurling and opening to the left. And then exhale, lower the hand down. And just take a pause. So you're welcome to sit back on the heels. Pausing here. And just gently, gently observing how the breath feels. So the next posture is going to be two choices. A wide knee child's pose with a twist. Okay, so it's like that threading of the needle. If you want to do that one, you might as well come off the knees for a second and just give your legs a little bit of extension before you put your knees back into that deep flexion again. Okay, just stretching back. So I'll show you the alternative just in a second. Okay, but for the wide knee child's, you'll be sitting back. So say you've got the big toes touching there at the back. Sit back on the heels and the knees can be quite wide. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can always use a cushion or something between the hips and the heels. That's always quite a good thing to do. And then we'll be going to the right side first. We'll be taking the left arm up on the inhale, turning to the left, and then we'll weave the left arm through. So return to the right. Now, as you come into that shape, you're aiming to get towards the outside of your left shoulder. And then you can relax your right hand down to the mat. Or some folks quite like wrapping the arm behind the back, okay? So that's one option there for you. If you fancy a slightly more restorative option, it's still a rotation of the torso, okay? But we take that bolster twist. So you're propped like this. Legs are kind of pretty chilled. And then we take ourselves over the bolster. Okay. So you're either facing the same direction that your knees are pointing in, or you lift and turn. And you face away from your knees, okay? Just quickly do that one again, yeah? I've just got my legs sort of chilled, torso over the bolster, and I like my hands under the head end, so I'm kind of hugging it. Or I might turn. Okay. Nice. So give yourself plenty of time just to get out any creases. Finding your way into this shape. Allowing yourself to come into your breath. Nice. So whatever version you're in, aiming to breathe fully into that space between your shoulder blades. Gently, gently inviting the fullness of each breath. So you might want to come back through scanning through the different spaces and realms of your being. Body, the breath, the mind, and the mood. Very gently meeting yourself just where you are. Another half minute here. So taking a full inhale, just where you are, and a full exhale. Now, if you're in the bolster twist variation, if you're turned away from your knees, down and face just the way your knees are pointing. If you're in the wide-kneed child there with the rotation, we'll just start to press into the right hand, weave yourself out. Some folks quite like opening around the left. Exhale, come back to center. And then it might be nice for you to get off your knees, okay? So, or at least extend the legs a little. So if you've been in that wide-kneed child, you're welcome to reach back with one leg, toes tucked under. Rock forward on the in-breath, rock back on the out-breath. Bolster twist, just bring yourself out when you're ready and you can change sides. Gentle rocking forward and backwards. Great. Okay. So let's get ready for the second side. So it's quite a nice posture to do this time of year, this wide-kneed child, because it's catching the kidney line as well as getting that lung line as well. So it's quite a nice sort of season transition posture to do. Okay, let's go. So when you're ready, taking the right arm up, you might want to open to the right on the in-breath, and then sliding it through on the out-breath. Nice. So we'll take 3 minutes here. And just whilst we're here, I just want to share a reading with you. I was obsessing on this reading earlier this year, and I haven't done it for a while. And someone emailed me the other week and asked me if I could share it again. So I thought I'd share it with you tonight. These are some words from Amy Krauss Rosenthal, and this is it. It's quite long, so bear with me. How have you been? Busy. How's work? Busy. How was your week? Good. Busy. You name the question. Busy is the answer. Yes, yes, I know. We're all terribly busy doing terribly important things. But I think more often than not, busy is simply the most acceptable knee-jerk response. Certainly, there are more interesting, more original, and more accurate ways to answer the question, how are you? I'm hungry for a burrito. I'm envious of my best friend. I'm frustrated by everything that's broken in my house. I'm itchy. Yet busy stands alone as the easiest way of summarizing all that you do and all that you are. I am busy is a short way of saying, implying, my time is filled, my phone does not stop ringing, and you, therefore, should think well of me. Have people always been this busy? Did cavemen think they were busy too? This week is crazy. I've got about 10 caves to draw on. Can I meet you by the fire next week? I have a hunch that there's direct correlation between the advent of coffee bars and the increase in busyness. Look at us. We're all pros now at hailing cabs, making Xeroxes, carpooling, performing surgery with a to-go cup in hand. We're skittering about like hyperactive gerbils, high not just on caffeine, but on caffeine's luscious byproduct, productivity. Ah, the joy of doing accomplishing, crossing off. As kids, our stock answer to most every question, what did you do at school today, was nothing. Somewhere on the way to adulthood, we each took a 180-degree turn. We cashed in our nothing for busy. I'm starting to think that, like youth, the world is wasted on the young. Maybe we should try reintroducing it into our grown-up vernacular. Nothing. I say it a few times and I can feel myself becoming more quiet, decaffeinated, zenish. Nothing. Now I'm picturing emptiness, a white blanket, a couple of ducks gliding on a still pond. Nothing. How do we get so far away from it? Taking a full in-breath right here. Gentle exhale. So if you're in your wide knee child's pose, nice and slowly start to bring yourself out. You might want to open around to the right, reaching up and release. And then you may want to lengthen out your legs a little bit, perhaps releasing that. If you feel safe enough to do a downward dog, I'm not going to attempt it because I've got socks on and I'm on a blanket. So my personal recipe for disaster, okay, for a major face planting episode. So I'm just going to take some of this. But you might want to take a little downward dog, okay? And then we'll just take a little pause for a moment. So let's sit or kneel. I'll meet you there. There's no rush. Great. Once you get there, let's rub the hands together. And then cross the hands over the chest. So the fingers, tips of the fingers, are just under the collarbones. And here, cradled in the arms, we have the lungs. Precious sponges that take in, hold on to what is precious, and then let go of what we don't need. So when you're ready, let's release the arms. And then we'll all come and meet on the front body. Okay, so we'll get ready for Sphinx pose. What I was going to invite you to do is to have your bricks nearby. Okay, if you've got them. If you don't worry. A couple of cushions would work okay. Yeah, or even actually a couple of blankets that are sort of maybe folded up quite densely. Okay, we'll be needing those shortly, but I'm just going to set this to the side for now. But we'll go over Sphinx first of all. Okay, so on the front body, a lot of folks I teach quite like the bolster underneath the rib cage. Okay, that might work for you. What you could do, see how you feel. You might want to elevate your forearms onto a block. Okay, now remembering with Sphinx, we don't want to have the elbows too far back. Okay, that'll make us take too much tension into the shoulders. So we want to have the elbows a little bit away, so your upper arms are just kind of at a slight angle. Okay, and allowing the spine to gently drape. Okay, you might prefer to not have anything under the arms. Maybe you put a little block under the head. Oh, I think that's my place tonight. I think it feels quite nice. Now, see what you can do to soften as much as you can around the area of the glutes, yeah, around the buttocks, and see how it feels to let the legs slightly rotate inwards. Okay, so the big toes pointing in a little, heels flopping out to the sides. Here we are. So a 2-minute stay here. So as you gently breathe here, exploring how it feels to let go of any unnecessary effort. Remembering if it gets too intense, a nice place to go is to slide the forearms forward and decrease the angle in the lower back. Okay. I will be quiet in a second. Another option that you might want to do is actually pick the feet up and let the feet touch together, okay, in the center. That can be quite nice as well. Okay. Right. So gently washing your attention, washing your awareness through the body, through the mind, the breath, and the mood. Just the last half minute here. Taking a full in breath, easy out breath. Great. If you've picked up your feet, just gently lower them down. Then we can take our body out of the shape. So however you are in the shape, whatever props you've got, just allow yourself to release onto the floor. Maybe a little pillow with your hands there. Maybe the forehead of the block. And to see how you go, yeah? You might just want to sway the hips around a little bit. And what I like doing after Sphinx personally is I'll slide in this case, I've got my right knee just coming out along the floors at the side, yeah? It's a bit like a half frog. So my knee is bent. I'm going to hang out here in my front body and just chill for a bit. How would it feel to really expand your belly? And that gentle sigh. To change legs when you're ready. Just a few more breaths with the second side. And when you're ready, release the leg. And I'd just like to invite you here just for a moment. Let's press back to child's pose. If you're happier staying on your belly, just stay there, yeah? We're going to be back on the belly in a second. Just a little moment, back to child's pose. Take 2 breaths. And then when you're ready, let's all come back onto the belly. Okay, so we'll come into prone penguin. So for prone penguin, you're going to either take your 2 bricks, okay, or that kind of 2 like blanket folds or towel folds, yeah, and they're going to be placed right underneath the upper arms, okay. So I'll show you where they go in on front on from a second, okay. And then what I like doing as well is I like putting a little block under my forehead. Backs of my hands are on the ground. Here we are, okay. So if you were to be looking at me from underneath, I'd be a bit like that. Like, so the top edge of the block, or the brick, I should say, is just level with the top of my shoulder, okay? And then my arm is resting down, okay? You can do different heights. Some folks quite like a height, like a medium edge. That might work for you. And then you've got your forehead resting on something. You might be okay without something under the forehead, but a lot of folks feel their noses get a bit claustrophobic, okay? So yeah, that's great. Just take your time getting your blankets ready. So you're essentially like a little penguin scooching along the ice on your belly, or elegantly scooching through the water. It'll take 3 minutes here. So this is a really lovely way to keep the lungs just a little bit free. If you have any respiratory issues, or if you've got a cold, allergies, then this helps to keep the lungs spacious and free. Now just noticing if the mind moves. Give yourself this gift of noticing where has your mind gone. And gently, gently inviting yourself to come back, turning gently to the anchor of your breath. And if your breath isn't such a good anchor for you, maybe you're coming into one of your senses, touch of your body against the floor. Maybe it's sound. It's the last 12 minutes. Full smooth inhale. Easy smooth exhale. So take the time As and when you're ready, you can start to find your way kneeling, maybe a little child's pose. I like just pressing into my hands. You can move the bricks off a little bit. Come on back. And gently curling down. You either stay in child's pose or you might want to roll through 3 rounds of Chakrabhakasana. Inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to curl. Then just take a moment, maybe staying in child's pose for a few breaths, or you might prefer to come back up to kneeling. Perhaps the hands come to the body, or maybe they stay in your lap. A little sacred pause. Nice, everyone. Okay, so another little front expander. Probably our, no, it's not our last one actually today. I was going to say it's probably the last one, but it's actually not. But this one will come into often known as heart melting pose or Anatanasana. So here, I like a little bit more underneath. So I'm going to take my blanket here and have it ready for my shins. Now, I often teach this one a little bit like it gets called quarter dog, where you have your forearm across the mat. But today I felt like doing something a little different. So what you could do, if you've got these bricks there, you can still use the bricks and your foamy block, all right? And then it's a variation where you can come forward. Usually you have to sort of mark this one out a little bit. Elbows are on the brick. Then the forehead coming down towards the earth. So it's like you're draping your chest and your belly towards the floor. Okay. Now another way of doing this is where you can actually put the bolster under your chest as well. It kind of depends on your body shape, how that goes for you. Okay. Some people quite like taking a bolster. So I've kind of got the bolster more in my armpits. Okay. And then I'm resting my forearms onto my bricks there. And then letting my head drop down. So I'm creating this very easy back arch. Now, if that's not going to work for you, I would suggest as an alternative taking a supported bridge. Okay. So supported bridge, I'll be right there. Just clearing the deck. Supported bridge. You can either have a brick, I'll just use a brick for speed's sake. Underneath the pelvis. Okay. And again, you're creating this open line to the front body. Okay. We'll go for about maybe 2.5, 3 minutes here. Lovely. allowing our practice just to really help us slow down. I love the way that reading ends. Nothing. I say it a few times and I can feel myself becoming more quiet, decaffeinated, zenish. Nothing. Now I'm picturing emptiness, a white blanket, a couple of ducks gliding on a still pond. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Another minute here. Gently, deepening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. Now, if you're in a supported bridge, if you have a bolster under your pelvis, you might want to lift the hips and push the bolster away and lower yourself down. The brick as well, you might want to flip it onto its next height and come down in stages. If you're taking the heart melting, then when you're ready, just gently press and come up. And give yourself what you need. You know, you can just circle the hips around, sway the hips from side to side. If you want to come off your knees, but keeping folded forward, I mean, I know this sounds a little bit avant-garde, but you might want to come into a very easy standing forward fold. Feet can be really wide. Let yourself down. Okay. If you did take the forward fold, standing up, then you can just bring yourself back down again. That's enough excitement for one night. Standing forward fold in a yin class. Okay. So, you know, it is actually a restorative posture though. You can do that. I think we've done it with you, some of you before, where you can even put like your sitting bones against the wall and then just hang forward, and you can build up a height with like a brick or blocks underneath your forehead or under your arms. That can be really nice. I'll see if we can do it next time we're together. So we're going to come into a little side body thing now. So as usual, I've got a couple of options. So it's up to you. Because we are focusing on lung and large intestine channels, these meridians reside in the torso, through the chest and into the arms, okay, back up through the shoulder, okay, and then back into the body. So the areas of focus are really about rotating, extending, reaching through the arms, and also that gentle opening, but also the compression in the spine as well. Okay. The reason I'm telling you this is I've got an option for the legs, but because the lung and the large intestine channels don't go through the legs are kind of sort of the secondary intention for this. Okay. The main focus is generally around the torso and the arms for lungs and large intestine. Okay. So I'm going to leave this up to you because, and the reason I'm saying this is we haven't done a huge amount of prep for taking the legs wide, right? So this might be your natural, like, happy place. And you're like, yay, I really want to take my legs out wide. Okay. But then again, you might be like, oh, no, thanks. Yeah. So if you're on the yay, I want to take my legs that way, just bring them at quite a realistic shape. And I'd always suggest sitting on a block, okay, or a folded blanket. And then the plan is to take side extension, okay? If you're thinking, no, thank you, then you can cross the shins like a little sukhasana shape. And then once again, like we did the invitation for earlier, if we can have maybe a little blanket sort of tucked under the calf and between the feet, okay? And again, you can sit on something. Yeah, I think I might use my block on the mix. And then we're going to be going sideways. So we'll go either side is fine. I'm going to go to my right side first. Either is fine. So you might be happy as you lean, leaning on your prop. You can even do it kind of side onto your sofa or side onto your bed. So you can lean on your surface. Okay. So the plan is to get this openness through the side body, but also we're getting a compression on the opposite side. Okay, because yin works on a system of opening, yeah, but also compression. If you find you've got a deeper range of movement, oh yes, I'm seeing lots of lovely prop building going on. Top marks, Claire. Look at that. You can just build height, yeah, so a bolster, brick, lean to the side, yeah. There's loads of things you can do. All right, now before we stay for a couple of minutes, if you'd like to, you can circle the top arm. Maybe once or twice in one direction. And then you can change it. Yeah, that's really great because it just takes a while sometimes with this posture just to find what alignment of props works for you. Yeah, that's it, Charlotte. You just got to just keep bringing all the bits in. Yeah. Any plushies you've got lying around, or I should go and get my plushie shark from upstairs. That'd be perfect. All right. See, I even like standing my bolster on its end because it's quite dense, this bolster. And here we are. Now with the arm, when we're in shape here, you can either wrap it behind your back or let the arm hang by your side, or you can take it up and over your head and let the elbow bend, okay? We're going to aim for another minute and a half here, okay? So keeping the jawbone soft and easy. Remember, you can always move. I'm starting to feel like I'm going to get pins and needles in my raised arms, so I'm going to see how it feels if I drop it. That's helped a little bit. Just the last half minute here. Okay, if you have your arm reaching overhead, use your exhale to lower the arm. And to come out of here, well, it's sometimes quite nice. You've got to go quite slowly. So I'm leaning to the left. Sorry, I'm leaning to the right. So what I'm going to do here is put my hands either side of my right knee, just really, really slowly. Gently turn myself a little bit towards the knee. So I've not come up fully yet. And just a little bow. And take a few breaths. If you feel more comfortable just coming out, and then do that, okay? And then from there, when you're ready, let's gently come on up and pause. Great. Okay, if you have the legs wide and you want to give them a rest for a minute, bring them together and you can take them wide again, okay? I'm doing the cross leg one here. So what I think I might do for the second side is change the cross on my legs. So I've got my right leg in front. So I'm going to do the weird thing and do the left one. And now it feels really bizarre. When my friend Norman was here last month, he was reminding me of that sort of idea of changing crosses and changing interlaces and things. And just reminded me that it's good for us to do that from time to time. Okay, let's go. Yeah, very nice. So you're just building up as much height as you like. So whatever side you're leaning to, very, very heavy to the opposite side. Feel free to circle. Staying with your breath. The eyes are closed. And you might notice your mind reaching outward and remembering that that's okay. But meet yourself where you are and then see how it feels to come back to your breath. Last half minute. Inhale where you are. And then when you're ready, just slowly, slowly. So either you can come out or keep yourself sort of in the shape a little bit, but we'll turn towards the knee that you're leaning to. And then exhale, just a little bow, 5 breaths. feeling really heavy through the opposite sitting bone. So if you're leaning towards the left knee, right sitting bone feeling really heavy, okay? All right, that's great. Let's come on out when you're ready. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Take a pause. You're welcome to roll the shoulders. See how it feels in the neck. Maybe turn the head from side to side. Okay. And we pause. Okay. So we're going to come back to another chest opener. Okay. Just a short stay. It'll probably be about 2 minutes. This is supported fish. Okay. So this can be quite extreme, I find. But you're in charge, so you can decide how extreme you want to take it. All right. Let me show you. So if you think you don't want to do this, the alternative would be to go back to that reclining shape over the bolster that we did right at the very beginning. Okay, that would be a nice place to go to. Or support your bridge actually with the brick. I've got a mountain of stuff just here. Okay. So for the supported fish, you might have 2 bricks on their high edge. Okay. This one's going to be for my head, and this one is going to support me kind of in my middle to upper back. And in fact, you can kind of feel the spot where it's going to go. If it's okay for your shoulder to do this action with your arm, okay? If you feel with your fingers, you might find that you can reach up your back. And if you squeeze your shoulder blades together, you'll find there's that little point, that gap between the tips of your scapula. So this is where the back brick is going to go, okay, in that area there. Now, this is far too high for me, okay? So I'm going to drop my brick here. I might actually leave that one just where it is. I can always adjust it if I want to, okay? Then we then go back over that back brick. As soon as it takes a little bit of marking out, you just like to figure out where it is. If you're on the high edge, you have to kind of do a bit of an up and over action, okay? If you're on the lower one, a little bit of a marking out. See, so now I'm going back and I'm thinking, well, maybe I can drop this one. I feel like I want to move down a little bit. Oh, that's okay. And then for me personally, I like to just let the knees fall out, sort of simple crossed legs like Sukhasana. You might prefer to extend them out. That's also very pleasant. Or even standing on the feet can be really good. But you're aiming to keep the sitting bones rooting down. Great. Slightly more edgy in posture, I have to say. So it'll take about 2 minutes. If it works for your body, you're welcome to take the arms so they come over the head and rest behind you. That might feel a bit weird, so you can always just give it a miss. For me today, I'm quite happy with my arms out to the sides, just Shavasana style. Gently observing the ebb and the flow of your breath. Just coming into the second minute, okay, final. So taking a full in breath, full out breath. So to exit this posture, it's often a bit like, oh, how do I get out of here? So to exit the posture, what I'm going to do personally is I'm going to stand on my feet so my knees are bent. Now, I recommend coming out on exhalation so you can use your abdominal muscles to bring you up, okay? And I'm going to also, I'm catching the edges of my mat, bringing my head forward, holding onto the mat or pressing into the floor. And I'll use the exhale to bring myself up, okay? So the next posture will be a forward fold, but you might just want to do like a little minimal, like seated cat-cow right here, okay? Just a little. Can be a bit of a shocker to go from that fish into a deep forward fold. So just see how it feels to coax your body into that kind of closed space. And in fact, in a second, we can play with a little bit in butterfly. Okay, we'll do a little bit more. So I'm just kind of doing this minimal sort of expansion and flexion of my spine. And the flexion's just feeling a little bit more favorable every time I round, okay? Okay, so we're coming towards, I think it's the final yin posture. Yeah, this should be probably our final one before we totally rest. So it will be a closed posture, it'll be a forward fold. So what I was suggesting, we're going to suggest here is a butterfly. But we'll do a little bit of movement before we stay, okay? So gathering in whatever you want to have for butterfly. What I like doing, I've tucked all my stuff too far away. What I like doing, I'm going to come back to my blanket here. Use the other one, it'll look more obvious. Sorry, I chose the worst colors to teach until I but like I just went for my comfort clothes, my black woolly jumper and my black trousers, linen trousers. what I'm going to do here is wrap up my feet, right? So I've got the soles of my feet together. Just made this big long fold with a blanket, and that's going to go on top of my feet. Okay, this isn't for everyone. Some folks don't really like it, but a lot of folks do. And I'm going to wrap, so really wrap my feet super snug. So someone once said to me, "Oh, it's like your feet are like a little samosa, a very large samosa." Okay, that kind of triangle shape with a blanket. And if you've got any tail ends, you can always just roll them back on themselves, and they'll help to support the ankles or the calves. Maybe a little support underneath the sitting bones, and just have a bolster maybe nearby or a block, and maybe a second blanket to cover your back with. But before we stay, let's do this little movement where it's a bit like a turtle coming out of its shell. Okay, so from here you gently roll down. You can kind of let your tailbone tuck under, exhaling, and then inhale, come up. This is a Tao Yin practice, this one. Okay, so your exhale is a little bit like Qigong. So you'll round and curl. Just keep it very light. And we'll just do that 3 more times. You can close your eyes if you like. Exhaling. So flexing the spine. And we're up. One more. And then when you're ready, starting to walk the hands forward, and you can come into your butterfly. Just a 3-minute stay here, okay? You might want to bring everything closer to you. That's great. Staying with the journey of your breath. Just the final minute here. Finding your inhale. Maybe a sigh on the exhale. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly, we can start to bring ourselves out of the posture. Just feel free to use your hands to gently draw the legs together. You might want to extend them out. Let them lean back into the hands, a little shake out of the legs. Or you might prefer to go through a little bit of the windscreen wiper movement. Just take your time. You slow down and just really listen to yourself. You'll find the right thing to do. So there's really no rush at all. But when you're ready, you're going to get ready to come and lie down for rest. Now, it's really up to you how you want to do this. If you want to take your legs up the wall, if you have access to a clear wall, go ahead and do that. You might want to get some support under your head. Yeah, nice cozy blanket underneath your head. Maybe the the bolster goes under your knees. You might have something to cover your eyes with, or something weighty to put on your belly. Just wherever you find yourself coming into this resting space. Okay. Now I'm going to talk you through a little breath awareness practice whilst you're here. Okay, but I'll just give you a little moment to get settled. Yeah, much coziness is being applied. So just make sure you're warm. That looks great. So as you arrive in that shape, inviting that full inhale, and maybe that easy exhale, sigh through the mouth if you wish. Hmm. And as you allow yourself to come into this shape for rest, perhaps filling your body with the half smile of kindness. I invite you here to notice just where you are finding it's easiest to breathe. It might be the coolness you feel in your nostrils on the in-breath, or the warmth on the upper lip on the out-breath. It might be the rise and fall of your chest or your belly. Or it might be the sensations of the whole body breathing. Wherever you find the breath easiest to feel or most pleasant, you can rest your kind attention there. And if you find your breath hard to feel, you can always let the hands rest on the belly. Feel the rise and the fall of the belly. Holding yourself very gently, noticing where your attention is. And if your attention has drifted, gently returning to the sensations of breathing. And as you feel each breath, let the mind calm and the body relax. Very, very gently. And start to deepen the breath. And if you do so, you might want to bring a little movement into the fingers, into the toes. If you want to stay really still, excuse me, and then just stay exactly where you are. No need to move. If you do find you'd like a stretch, then you're very welcome. Take that lovely reawakening stretch through the body. Perhaps drawing the knees in one at a time, having a great big hug. There's no rush, but when you feel ready, you can roll yourself aside or find your journey back to sitting whenever you're ready. Of course, you can stay lying down as well. Pausing right here. Nice, everyone. Let's take an together to seal our practice and seal our time together in our shared virtual space. Exhale completely. Inhale. And may the merits of our practice bring nourishment, stability, and ease to ourselves. And may the merits of our practice spread outwards like ripple effects, bringing the benefits of stability, ease, and nourishment to all beings that we engage with on our path. Thank you so much, everybody. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me from your cozy homes into my little cozy shed. If you've got any questions, please ask. And of course, you'll get a recording as well. I just had a moment there where I thought I'd forgotten to record it, but it's all good. So you can take this practice whenever you like, if you like it. Great. Thank you so much, folks.